What's up, YouTube? Today we are going to be diving into the square body. So, like I said before, we are going to rebuild the carburetor. We will shoot the timing. We'll put plugs in it. We're going to put boots on the plug wires, intake gaskets, and we are going to try to find the vacuum leak as well as drop the tank to get all of the bad gas out of it because it's been sitting for about 7 years. So let's dive into it. I will throw a couple videos together here. Okay, so we got the carburetor off. These carburetors are real easy. 4 bolts, couple linkages, couple hoses, they're off. And as you can see there, intake's pretty dirty. The carb is actually really dirty, so it does need a good cleaning. We're gonna actually rebuild the carb last once we get everything back together, but I wanted to get it off, get it out of the way, so that way, you know, we can pull the intake off, and it just would be one less thing to get out the way. I will throw some rags inside of that intake, so that way we don't drop anything in it right now. But let's go from there. We're gonna start pulling other things off, getting stuff cleaned up, and hopefully it won't be too long before we get everything off and can start going back together. Okay, so carb's off, like I said earlier. I got the distributor cap off, all the plug wires, so that way I can get the plugs out and look at the plugs. As you can tell, typically on these 350s, it's the middle ones that'll burn rich. So that black color is a rich burning color, and when you're, this is kind of the color you want there. You want it like a brown paper bag type thing. So that's telling me that, you know, the carburetor was out of adjustment. It was dumping a lot of fuel and it was going straight to those middle cylinders. But this is another issue here. So I decided against dropping the tank because I'm not getting any debris, but this gas is pretty much orange. And really what I did was I just pulled off the filler neck. I have a small transfer pump and I'm just pouring into this bucket here. So that gas is definitely 7-8 years old probably. He said he put new gas in it, but I doubt it. If he put any in it, he probably put a couple gallons in it, hoping that it would mix with that old stuff. But obviously that's not working. That gas looks terrible and it smells even worse. So next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish draining all the gas out of it. I am gonna pull the intake. I'm gonna pull the distributor. And the reason I'm gonna pull the distributor is because, as you can see, the distributor is pointing towards the general direction of the #1 plug. But the issue is that when we were trying to get the truck started, you could tell that it was advanced way too much. So we were having to turn the distributor pretty much all the way to the firewall to where it was pretty much hitting it. We couldn't turn it anymore. We couldn't get any more adjustment out of it. So I think it's a tooth off. We will figure through all that. You know, we're gonna throw a timing light on it, make sure that the timing's all fine. So if it is a tooth off, it will tell us. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get the intake off, distributor out, finish getting the gas out of it, and we'll go from there. But we're trucking along. Don't know if it'll be done today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next weekend, but we'll go from there. All right, so we've got some progress now. The intake is off, carburetor's off, and really this is the reason that I bought the truck. The whole top end is brand new. As you can tell, all the rockers look good, all the push rods look good. It's got brand new lifters. I wanted to take all this off so I could get the intake off though, and put intake gaskets on it because of the surge that it was having at idle. As far as the tank though, I'm not dropping it. I'm not dropping it because I drained it, got all the bad gas out of it, and I was actually able to look into the tank with a camera and it's clean. There's really no issues with the tank now, other than I need to put the fill tube back on it so that way you know, when I put gas in it I can fill it up. But that's all good. So next steps are going to be, we're all full tore down to where I want to be. I've got some AC Delco plugs to put in it. I've got Felpro intake gaskets. I'm going to do some Felpro valve cover gaskets. And actually the distributor looks good too. I pulled that out though. One thing to mention though is that anytime you do something like this on a 350, put it at top dead center, so when you pull the distributor out and you put it back in, it makes it a whole lot easier. But I'm actually impressed with what I've seen so far on the top end of this thing. So I have zero concern with it won't run right. Once I get the carburetor cleaned and all of that, get it in time, I think it's gonna run pretty good. So stay tuned, keep watching the video, but we're gonna get there. We are probably about halfway there. We're gonna start cleaning up and start putting things back. Okay, so I would say we're probably about the last step I have the intake gaskets on there, the distributors installed back, all of the spark plug wires are ran, and they do now have the boots on them. Everything is good up here. The gas is drained in the gas tank. Ended up not dropping it like I said earlier, but I would say one thing that I noticed is that the distributor being one tooth back, I think it looks better, but I'm not sure if it's going to be right. So we're going to try it though, but everything that I wanted to do up here is done. So we're going to go to rebuilding the carburetor now, and we will see how that goes. Hopefully that doesn't go too bad. So okay, so we are going to rebuild the Carter 9605. Like I said, this is an Edelbrock kit. This is the 1477 kit. Just went to Walmart and bought a case of carb cleaner. So we'll jump into it, and I'll be back whenever it's back together. So I am in the middle of this carb rebuild. As you can see, I got everything on the hood of the race car, but we have a lot of contamination inside of this carb. It quite frankly looks terrible. Every single thing in here is corroded with, I guess, from having bad gas in it and whatnot. It's been sitting a while, I can tell you that. The bowl was definitely full whenever they had this thing parked. So I'm gonna let some of this stuff sit, but you know, toothbrush, rag, and pull it all apart with my rebuild kit, and that's where we're at. So hopefully it'll all go back together. Lord knows it may not, but the truck is actually ready. Rather than having the carb on it, it's ready to go. I just need to fill it up with water and tighten up the belt, I think. But hopefully we can get it busted off tomorrow, and we can see how it runs, you know, with a freshly rebuilt carburetor, getting it in time and whatnot. So I'll come back whenever we're throwing the carb on. All right, so we got everything back together, as you can see here, and I actually threw an inline fuel filter in, but carburetor's all rebuilt back together. Distributor, all the wires are back together. I'm hoping it's in time. It is on top dead center right now. It's where I want to start with. One thing to add though is I did just put non-ethanol gas in it, so that way if any is stuck in the carburetor, or any does get stuck in the carburetor, it will not corrode it like it did. It was pretty bad. So we're gonna try to fire it off, get it in time, and we're gonna see if it'll run. Stay tuned. Okay, so the truck is wrapped up. As a reminder, I did spark plugs, I did a carb rebuild, I did intake manifold gaskets, I got it in time, drained the old gas, and fixed all the little issues that I could see. And I did reroute the heater hose because the heater core was actually leaking. And it does have the non-ethanol fuel in it, but honestly, for as long as it's been sitting in the amount of work that I had to do, I am very impressed. There's the key. She runs. She's idling. And it puts down some damn good oil pressure. So I am going to get it off of the battery charger, and we're gonna take it for a ride and see how it actually does. So I'm going to try to drive the truck for the first time. As you can see, vintage air is on, but let's see if it'll actually drive under its own power. It seems to be doing fine. Power steering pump didn't like that. Wow, I'm impressed. We're gonna take it down the street. We're gonna see how it runs, but man, 1,500 bucks. That's how much I paid for this truck, and it is running and driving. So I did bring the truck out to the highway, and steering wheel's off. None of the gauges work, so I do not know how fast I'm going, but it's impressing me. I think it is time for a full restore on this truck, to be honest. So we'll get on back to the house, and we'll go through everything that I did once again, and then things that I'm planning on doing, and actually what I have found about this truck. So we just pulled back up to the house, and the truck is still running, never died. Man, actually real impressive. Don't know if it's running warm or anything, because like I said, previous owner did me the due diligence of disconnecting all the gauges. But as far as where we're at on the truck, I spent $1,500 on it, right? I put air in the tires, I drained the gas, I put new fuel in it. I did a carb rebuild. I did intake gaskets. I did plugs with the correct gap. I set the timing on it, and a few other little things like putting spark plug boots on the, or spark plug, I guess, heat protectors on the plug boots, but that was it. And it's running. The carb clean, I will say, was probably the most time-consuming part, but it was fun. It's, you know, probably the third carburetor I've rebuilt, and it's the first Edelbrock I've rebuilt. So with that being said, the truck is running. I have zero complaints right now, and I am happy with the purchase. But one thing I did want to say is, if you're doing anything like this, look on Marketplace. From what I've heard, things that you can buy like on LMC or whatever the case is, they sometimes, the body lines and all that don't match. But I have found original fenders, doors, hood, bed, all of that on Facebook Marketplace. And really and truly, like, I'm talking fenders for $100 a piece, doors for $100 a piece, with all the seals in them, all the window, everything. So not bad. That's what I'm gonna do next. We are going to buy fenders, doors, hood, and probably rockers, so that way we can get all the rust off the truck, and we're gonna probably start a full restoration unless somebody offers me quite a bit of money for the truck and I come out, you know, $1,000, $2,000 a head. We'll do that. But that's where we're at. I appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget, like, follow, subscribe, comment, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube. I appreciate y'all watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.